everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be discussing this poem of Nissim Ezekiel. I'll be doing its critical analysis along with explaining the line and the themes, and I will also be explaining its structure and rhyme scheme and different meanings that exist between the lines, and we need to excavate that. So let's get started. Okay, and then he says, I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. 10 hours of steady rain had driven him to crawl beneath a sack of rice. Parting with his poison flesh of diabolic tail in the dark room, he risked the rain again. The peasants came like a swarm of flies and buzzed the name of God 100 times to paralyze the evil one. So in these lines, the speaker begins with the poem begins with the speaker when he is recollecting the memory of an incident that happened not with him but someone very close to him, that is his mother. So his mother was stung by a scorpio while the scorpio was trying to hide near the sack of rice to avoid rain. So the visual imagery of atmosphere and a setting of a village has been created here when he says that he hide between beneath a sack of rice. So it gives us a very simplistic imagery of a rural house. And then he says that it has been raining and for almost 10 hours. So it has been raining for 10 hours. So and again a visual imagery has been creating a dark night with heavy rain, and a scorpio came inside and stung his mother. And then he says that so all this visual imagery has been created in the very beginning of the poem, which shows that it's a narrative poem. It's a descriptive poem because it creates an imagery of his whatever he is narrating. And then he says that parting with his poison, it shows that he has delivered. Yes, he has been this thing, this scorpio, it has been successful in by successful in delivering his sting. So and flash of diabolic tail, the tail is being called, so here the tail is being called diabolic because the speaker is referring to him as something satanic, something evil. He is therefore because the speaker has already categorized him as something devil, because he is using male pronoun for him rather than using it. Like here in the very first line of second stanza he has used his, and then in the last line of a second stanza he has used he for the scorpio. It is like he has already categorized him. He's a devil. And the word devil, it comes from a Greek language, and something evil. Evil, sorry, this word evil has come from Greek language, and it means devil. So he is calling him a devil. And then in the third stanza he says, so peasants, he's referring to peasants came like a swarm of flies. So he's using simile here, and buzzed the name of God. These flies, their noise is called buzzing sound. So they buzzed the name of God 100 times. So everyone individually was was buzzing the name of God 100 times. So in this way a kind of buzzing sound has been created in the room. So another, along with a visual imagery and auditory imagery is also there. So and then he says that he because of their arrival, the buzzing sound created, and they all started to pray for his mother. So a kind of noise has started because they started to repeat God's name like incantation, showing their deep faith, and they really wanted to save his mother. And also it was their belief that Scorpio is something evil. So by enchanting the name of a god, they will then create this opposite force against this devilish force. So this evil versus divine come in contact like this. And again, in the very third stanza, he has used he has stressed this phrase "evil one" because he has capitalized E along with O. So again, the evil one has been capitalized here. Okay, now come to the themes of these three lines. So these three lines depicts various themes. Again, the theme of rural life. Again, I have told you already. The image of village has been created here. He is mentioning the sack of rice, and peasants are there. Peasants are generally poor farmers. They are there. And so the very image of an Indian life has been created, a rural image of an Indian life, because the poet is Indian. So he's creating, maybe he belonged from some kind of village, so he's recollecting his childhood memory. So that's why that could be the reason. Okay, moving on to the next theme, it says nature and human vulnerability. So the Scorpio is driven inside by 10 hours of steady rain. It shows how natural forces like rain, storm, and these tiny creatures, they disrupt human life and they create danger for them, because the Scorpio has stung his mother, and since then the people there are trying everything to protect his mother. So there's this these two forces have came in contact, and they are in clash with each other, the force of nature and the force of evil. So there's evil versus divine, and in among these forces human life is very vulnerable, because the mother has been stung, and there and since the we have only been told that she is being stung, and there's nothing else has been mentioned about her. So it means that she is now in a very submissive and vulnerable position. She is the one who's suffering. So again, the other theme is evil versus divine. So Scorpio's sting is described as diabolic and the evil one. It suggests an association with evil force. As I already mentioned, evil came from a Greek language. It means devil, so it is associated with devil, something that evil, very very evil, devil, like a Satan. And in contrast, the peasants invoke God's name repeatedly. It shows a spiritual battle between good and evil. Understand? Okay, moving on to the next theme, community and collective response. So the villagers rush to the scene like a swarm of flies to help, and which reflects that there is this strong communal unity. Though their method is rooted in superstition, but they are trying whatever they could, because their beliefs are strong and their beliefs are superstitious, but they are trying tooth and nail to help his mother, the mother of a speaker. Okay, and then says faith versus superstition. Faith and superstition. So buzzing the god's name 100 times, not just one time, not just 10 times, but 100 times. It highlights reliance on faith, a strong reliance on faith. Prayer is a kind of prayer for them, and ritual rather than medicine or logic. So this theme recurs throughout the poem, contrasting which shows a contrast between scientific understanding with traditional belief. So this theme will be very much dominant, and we will talk about it at the later stanzas. We will talk about it. And okay, moving on to the next stanza, next slide. Okay, now come to the stanza 4. um, here in this stanza, he says, with candles and with lanterns, throwing giant Scorpio shadows on the mud-baked walls, they searched for him. He was not found. They clicked their tongues with every movement that the Scorpio made. His mother moved in mother's blood. They said, "May he sit still." They said, "May the sins of your previous birth be burned away tonight." They said, "May your suffering decrease, the misfortunes of your next birth." They said, "May the sum of all evil balanced in this unreal wood against the sum of good become diminished by your pain. May the poison purify your flesh." Okay, so in these lines, the story progresses, and again the theme of superstition and rituals, it's very much dominant here. The speaker says that he's of the view that peasants believe the scorpion's movement spread the poison in the mother's blood, so it's their superstition. So, and they are praying that they are hoping that this Scorpio doesn't move much, because in this way the poison will then move more or circulate more in the mother's blood. So they are hoping that he just stay calm. And they light candles and lanterns just to search this scorpion and chant protective prayers side by side. And they are of the belief, and their belief reflect deep rooted superstition rather than scientific knowledge. Of course, it's all based on superstition. It's not based on some scientific evidence that if the mother, if the Scorpio move, his poison will also move in the body of a victim. So it's just a superstition. And then there is another theme, karma and rebirth, and which refers to their religious beliefs. So phrases like sins of your previous birth and misfortune of your next birth, these phrases highlight the belief of Hinduism in reincarnation and karma. Like they are of the view that the sins of your this life will also have a deep effect on your next life. So, and then he says that he's of the view that suffering is seen as something spiritual cleaning, which burns away sins, and in this way it balances good and evil. For example, if a person suffers from some injury or what, it suggests in such belief system that his sins will be purified because he has suffered some form of calamity. In this way his sins will be purified. And then come the theme of spirituality and fatalism. um, the villagers accept suffering as a part of life cycle, believing it has meaning in terms of destiny and cosmic balance. So instead of offering practical remedies, they interpret pain in moral and spiritual terms. Another theme is communal belief system. They're repeated. They said. So I have also highlighted this pronoun they. It emphasizes collective chanting. The villagers act as a single body, and which reinforcing their traditional thoughts, and also it reinforces that they are helping together to ease the pain of his mother. Okay, moving on to stanza 7. Of desire and your spirit of ambition, they said, and they sat around on the floor with my mother in the center, the peace of understanding on each face, more candles, more lanterns, more neighbors, more insects, and the endless rain. My mother twisted through and through, groaning on a mat. My father skeptic, rationalist, trying every curse and blessing, powder, mixture, herb, and hybrid. He even poured a little paraffin upon the bitten toe, and I put a match to it. I watched the flame feeding on my mother. I watched the holy man perform his rites to tame the poison with an incantation. After 20 hours, it lost its sting. So, okay, here exists a turning point of the poem. This section contrasts the villager's spiritual belief with the father's rationalist mindset. And related to that, there are different themes. So father here is described as a skeptic and rationalist kind of person because he is not focusing on enchanting the name of God or wasting energy on it. He, on the other hand, is wasting his, um, using his energy in doing some remedies, like he's trying every curse and blessing, powder, mixture, herb and hybrid, like he's mixing different kinds of medicine just to cure his wife. So this shows the clash of modern science and traditional faith in the time of crisis. So in this whole poem, Nissim Ezekiel has depicted a whole picture. On one side, there are some peasants who are focusing on incantation, while like buzzing like a flies. And on the other hand, there is this father figure, and he is all he's doing is just doing remedies, as because he's a very rationalist person. So then comes another theme, which is community and ritual. So the villagers sit in a circle around the mother. Their presence is a form of solidarity, even if their methods seem ineffective. um, this shows that a very strong community exists in rural villages, because in urban society, which is mostly notorious because uh, we often heard that in urban society the neighbors are not aware of their neighbors, while in rural society there is this image is being depicted by Nissim Ezekiel, in which the peasants know about their the villagers know about their neighbors so much, like the way they are circulating her, the way they are enchanting the names of God, just to trying every tooth and nail to cure the speaker's mother. So, and also the other theme is science and tradition coexist, existence of science and tradition. Even the rational father cannot rely solely on science. He tries both paraffin burning and blessing and incantation. This highlights the blending of modern and traditional approaches in real life, because um, here the speaker says, my father is skeptic, rationalist, trying every curse and blessing, powder, mixture, herb and hybrid. So it refers to different meanings. On one hand, it could mean that father is trying incantation along with some remedies, or it could also mean that the speaker is referring to different medicines as curse or blessing. So it has double meaning. Is it possible that father also has some superstitious belief? He's rational, but he has superstitious belief, or it could also mean that father is completely a rationalist person. Okay, so in the last stanza, it says, my mother only said, thank God, the scorpion picked on me and spared my children. So in this stanza, maternal love and sacrifice is the dominant theme, because despite her sufferings, the mother expresses gratitude that she was the one who got stung and not her children. So her instinct is selfless, which is her unconditional love towards her kids, and it overrides her own pain. In addition to that, the mother also seemed to be spiritual and have her religious belief system, because right after her recovery, the very first thing she did is to immediately pray to God. That's why she is also seen very, a religious person or superstitious person instead of a rationalist person like the father. Okay, so here come to the analysis of the poem. It's a narrative poem because it narrates a story. This poem is in a form of a monologue, first person narrative of the agony that a son had to undergo watching his mother suffer due to a scorpion sting. And it belongs to a Nissim Ezekiel's collection, which is known as the exact name. And this collection was published in 1965, and it is written a free verse, and it shows that Ezekiel is not following one typical pattern of poetry. It's written in a free verse, and also this collection of poetry presents a scary image of the superstition-ridden India, where an insect is given a monstrous dimension, like we have seen in a poet. He is calling him as a diabolic creature. Also, the lines are not all the same length, and they do not rhyme, and the lines run on the next line. This is called enjambment because one line, one sentence is continued on multiple lines. Like we have seen here, it is it is continued on multiple lines. The structure of the poem is quite modern, since it doesn't really have much of a regular structure to talk of, because stanza do not follow any set type of format. The poem does not follow a fixed rhyme scheme or meter. The uneven line lengths give a conversational and storytelling style. Also, many lines follow into the next without punctuation, mirroring the rush and confusion of events during the Scorpio sting, which further emphasizes that the speaker is very tense. Like he's just narrating all his story in a single go and is not taking a break. Also, the stanza style is very irregular. The poem is broken into sections, but not in a formal stanzic pattern like sonnets, couplets. No, not like that. It's just written into a broken sections. So instead, the divisions reflect shifts in focus. Like initially, the poem starts from Scorpio, that it shifts to villagers, and then the coming stanzas focused on his father, and eventually it ended on his mother. Also, the poem is written in a very free, flexible form, which suits the modern context, and it allows Ezekiel to weave together different perspectives like superstition, rationalism, maternal love, and clash of different belief system, and communal love, and all such things, without being restricted by classical forms. In this way, we can say that the narrative quality is the structure is less lyrical and more narrative, almost like a short story told in verse. The lack of rhyme scheme and any kind of rhythm keeps attention on the content and themes rather than on musicality. That's a crucial element of this poem, that it focuses on theme and content uh, rather than focusing on a rhythm and rhyme, as we have seen in other kinds of poetry, a very traditional kind of poetry, like in the poetry of Shakespeare and other traditional poets. The tone of the poem keeps on changing. In the beginning, it is of concern as the speaker is using cursive words for the culprit, who is in this case Scorpio, like diabolical or evil one. But later on, it changes to superstition to realist, and then eventually it ends with gratitude when the mother thanked God that it was she who was stung, not her kids. So the tone and mood keeps on changing throughout the poem, like a story. Because it's a story, so its mood and shifts a lot. If we talk about the underlying meaning, in fact, the poem is about the pertinent question as to what can conquer evil. Where superstition, rationalism, and religion proved futile, the self-effacing love of a mother had its say. Once again, it is amor vincit omnia. It's a very common phrase, and it was used in other poems as well, and it means love conquers all, and all that is all is needed. Because the poem is not really about the scorpion or the sting, it contrasts the reaction of family, neighbors, and his father with the dignity and courage of his mother. And Again, and last but not the least, the theme of the poem is well reflected in the diction, where it is immensely used to describe a typical Indian village. And this is how it reflects the flavor of Indianness through its diction, like a sack of rice, mud baked walls, and of course peasants. So a rural image of India has been depicted in the poem. Again, the mention of the names of various quack items like pauja, mixture, herb, and hybrid used by the father of the poet to cure the mother are dipped in the color of India. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also, do share your subscription and your suggestion as well for my coming video. Thank you. Bye bye.